I mean, if you think of, I don't know, the Deep South, what do you think of someone if you hear the Deep South?
Redneck.
Okay. What about the Northeast? Okay. What about Florida?
Oh, Latinos.
Alligator.
What about California?
Blonde hair. Surfers.
All right.
Dudes.
Well, my name is Peter Brown, and as a child, I grew up in the Northeast, in New Hampshire, and I lived there until about junior high. And in high school, I moved to Las Vegas. It's really hot there. But in high school, I got the opportunity to take several week-long trips down to Mexico. But also, after high school, I joined the military, and I spent 3 months in Alabama. I spent a year in Okinawa, Japan, and then moved, got stationed in San Diego, stayed here, and not too long ago, my wife and I spent 2 weeks backpacking through China. My point is, I think I'm qualified to tell you about the different regions and countries, how there's similarities to be found within regions and within countries. Two separate ideas. And really, sometimes people will look at a different country that's neighboring and say there's obvious differences. And yes, there is. But I want to show you through a regional perspective that you can find similarities just across the border. So first, and I want to help you find these ways to find the similarities. So first, let's look at what I'm saying as a regional perspective. First of all, political borders are often straight lines on a map. They have nothing to do with the landscape. So you're going to find people going across this imaginary line and find this region that may be split by 1 or 2 political boundaries. But let's look at the United States as a country. We're going to have similarities within this country that are pretty universal. You've got first of all, the political type is a democratic republic. We have a capitalistic economy. We have federal guidelines for education, so it doesn't matter what school you go to in one state or the other, it's going to be the same for the most part. We have child labor laws and ages for driving, and we have the American dream. A lot of people come to America to pursue this dream. Next, let's look at similarities that can be found in regions that cross political boundaries. Let's start with the Mexicali region. You have things like Mexican holidays being celebrated in America, like Dia de los Muertos and Cinco de Mayo. Those are not American holidays, but they're celebrated here in San Diego and other areas around us. You have Spanish influence on music. La Bamba was written by Richie Valens back in the 50s, and he mixed rock and roll and several different types of Mexican music to form this, basically a new type of rock and roll. And you still see influences now from that. We have the food, which you go to a restaurant and you'll find Baja-style food. You'll find just all different kinds of flavors from Mexico infused with American food. We have, if we look to the Northeast, we have similarities with French. In fact, the coq au vin and other types of French cuisine you'll find in the Northeast. I never cooked it because I was in junior high at most, but now I know how to cook it. We also find U.S. holidays being celebrated in Canada, like Thanksgiving. It's definitely a United States holiday, but it's still celebrated in Quebec and that type of area. We find that Quebec's national holiday, which falls on June 24th, also celebrated in New England. Not too much further south, but just barely inside the border of the U.S. We have, plus cities in that area have been around for such a long time, whether you're on the Canadian side of the border or the U.S. side of the border. You've got cities that are well over 200 years old, and whereas the rest of the United States is relatively new in comparison. And you've got shared hobbies like hockey in that region, usually because of the snow. So basically, in conclusion, we have looked at regions that cross political borders, and that a lot of times it's just an imaginary line. In some cases, it's a giant fence with barbed wire and whatnot, but sometimes it's just a road. It's really not hard to find similarities between people within the region that you find yourself in. You just gotta look past the stereotypes. And so finally, when you meet somebody new from a different region or a different side of the country even, or a different country altogether, look for opportunities to open doors for yourself and put those stereotypes aside. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Peter.